Hi everyone, it's Larry here, not Stevie. I thought I would throw my two penneth in on a certain subject. And that subject is how to spot a grifter. Now, with everything that's been going on the last sort of couple of months, we're seeing a lot of people come out of Kim's cult. And we've seen it constantly over the years as well, when people wake up to the fact that they have been conned. They've been pulled into a cult. They've been brainwashed with a load of ridiculous rubbish that as soon as you put a rational head on, you can see it's ridiculous. You get out of the cult, but the human reaction to almost all the time is you got to find another saviour. You got to find another saviour. It's like it's instinct. You can't just come out and face up to life, as an individual. You've got to try and have that protector. You need someone protecting you, sort of thing. Happened to us when we come out, when me and Barry woke up. We both fell into the Q movement. Barry woke up to it very quickly after we fell into it. He saw straight away, pretty much. Here we go again. It's all promises, never backed up by anything solid. It's just words being dropped online. Words you want to hear. So I was in it for about 3 months before I realised, here we go again. Barry's right. This is a load of rubbish. And here we are. That was 2018. So here we are 6 years later nearly. And, what's come of it? They're all grifters. So how do you spot a grifter? Because we're seeing a lot of people come out of Kim's cult now and they're saying, what do you think about this person? What about this person? Is this person genuine? Is that person genuine? How do we know? Right. This is what I do. And I think this is what the other lads at Team Bubba do as well. Assume everybody is a grifter. Everyone. Just assume they're all grifters. And they have got to prove to you that they're not. So your default position is you're a grifter. But the two things I always look for, which pretty much confirms they're a grifter, is if A, they claim they've got some sort of inside information. So that could be anything. It's normally they're working for the white hats or something like that, or they're a government insider and they got this information. I mean, the total extreme is Kim. I mean, if you really just step back and look at what Kim's saying, it's so ridiculous. And I think that's part of the problem, because people think it's so ridiculous, her claims, it got to be true. Nobody would make them claims unless it was true. But if you take the default position of, okay, right, you're making these claims, let's see the evidence. And if she don't give you any evidence to back it up, then you have to assume it's bollocks. Because it is bollocks. So your default position is, I ain't believing you till you prove to me. So proof. What is proof? Now, it's very hard to prove somebody is not something. People are constantly saying to us, you prove to me that Kim is a fraud. I mean, we have over the years. We've provided no end of evidence she's a fraud. But it can be hard sometimes to prove certain things, to prove something is not happening. If you really think about that, that's really difficult to do. But if you're genuine, it should be very easy to prove that you are something. So she claims, I don't know, she claims she's having meetings with high-powered people, ETs, blah, blah, blah. Well, just record a conversation. do a Zoom call, record it. I mean, you're making the contents of these conversations, these meetings public. So, you know, why would these people or ETs on the other end of the meeting have a problem with you actually recording it and making it public? Because you're making the information public anyway. Surely one of them would agree to it, you know. So by doing that, instantly she'd get credibility. She completely blows Team Bubba and anyone else out there who's claims she's a fraud out of the water. That blows us out of the water instantly. There's a reason she's never ever done it. Because she's a fraud. It's as simple as that. If you go back to what I said, assume default position, she's a fraud unless she proves otherwise. Right, let's have a look. What has Kim, how many claims has Kim made over the years? We've been following her since 2016. So that's 8 years now, coming up to 8 years. And in that time, I can't think of one thing she's claimed is going to happen or is happening that has come true. Not one thing. How many times has she got to claim something that never happens for people to get, you know, she's got to be a fraud. Because if this happened in everyday life, if your best friend knocked on the door, your lifelong best friend knocked on your front door one day and said, oh, by the way, I'm Ground Commander. I'm sitting on quadrillions. I'm so wealthy and I'm here to save humanity. You'd think they completely lost the plot. Even though that you trust that person with your life. You'd leave your kids with that person. You would do anything for that person because you know they would do it for you. But if they turned up on your doorstep and told you just 1% of what Kim claims, you would think they're gone stark raving bonkers and that they need to get a mental health checkup, wouldn't you? Yet, most people will stumble across this woman on the internet making these ridiculous claims, and for some reason, they will just believe them without seeing any evidence that the claims could be true. Any physical, cold, hard evidence. That's what you got to see before you start giving one of these grifters credit that they could be genuine. You've got to see physical evidence. Now, people say, Team Bubba, you never give evidence. You're just slurring Kim. You're just throwing accusations. You don't provide any evidence. You are not looking at our videos. You are not looking at all the hard work Stevie has put in the last few years. That lad has put thousands and thousands of hours into not only making the videos, but researching all the information that's gone into the videos. Yes, he had a lot of help from us in the early days, me and Barry, especially Barry. But the last couple of years, he's pretty much been doing it on his own. He has put thousands of hours into it. For people to just turn around and say, that's no evidence. It's because you're not looking at it because you don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear the truth. Common sense. It's all it is. Right, so let's have a look then. So they say we haven't provided any evidence. Right, all we've got to do is prove that once. If we can do one thing that proves Kim is lying, then she's a fraud. Right, okay. So in 2016, she did the ET show with Thomas Williams. Right? If you've even just slightly started to wake up, you should know about the ET show. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. But her, Thomas Williams, Ava Cowan, and Megan, can't think of a second name, and Megan did an ET show where they claimed they were sitting in with an ET and they were discussing what was happening off planet, how the UPU, Universal Protection Unit, was saving humanity, was helping to save humanity. And Kim, which was K, and then you had A as Ava and M as Megan, and they were like the go-betweens between the Universal Protection Unit, also known as a Universal Protection Council. They were like the human representatives of this unit, this protection council. And they also acted as translators. And they claimed they were having this was a groundbreaking show, first ever, and ET was going to do an interview with humans on a radio show. That's how they presented it, and that's how they delivered it for about 2 to 3 hours, right? If you've heard it, you've all heard Stevie completely debunk this in at least one video. I think he's probably done 2 videos on it, where you heard the ET talking and then they were translating it, right? Now, we've debunked it. We've completely debunked that as being completely fake. It's fake. Because we've proved beyond any doubt that Ava Cowan was the ET voice. They told us it was an ET talking. Ava herself went on Jimmy Brent's radio show and demonstrated that very same voice, which is a light language. That proves Kim is a fraud. We've proved she's a fraud. We don't need to do anything else. That one thing is enough to prove she's a liar. Now, that's cold, hard, physical evidence Team Bubba has put together and provided you with the help of Ava. If Ava hadn't done that on Jimmy's show, yes, it would have all been a little bit up in the air. But as soon as she did that, 100% concrete evidence that Kim lied. And everyone on that show that night, they lied to the listeners. That is cold, hard facts. That is cold, hard evidence. When Kim makes a claim about Team Bubba, which she has, she claimed she passed loads of evidence over to the FBI in 2019 about us. But they knocked it back because the Democrats instructed them, no, that has got to be completely dropped. We're not investigating them, we're protecting them. Drop that case. So, fair enough if that's what you're claiming, Kim, but you've got to back it up, because if you don't back it up with real evidence, it's just a story. It is just a story. And it's quite easy to provide the evidence, Kim, if you're telling the truth. Like, within the hour of her making this claim, our response was, make the evidence public then. Make it public. That was 5 years ago. That was 4 or 5 years. I think she made that claim in September 2019. So we're coming up to 5 years, 4.5 years ago. Still waiting. She cannot make the evidence public because there is no evidence, because it was a story to stop people, to discredit Team Bubba, because she didn't want people going to Team Bubba's Facebook, because that was where all the evidence was put at the time. We didn't have we had a YouTube channel, I think, but we didn't use it. We didn't upload nothing on there. It was all done in the Facebook group, because it was almost like a friends reunion group almost, because people were coming out of Thomas Williams' cult. And again, they're looking for that, not so much saviour, but just like want to be with like-minded people who realise they've been had the last few years. So they were coming out of the cult and coming into Team Bubba, where their friends who had woken up maybe a month before end up, and they reunited. And that's how it was back then. It was like where you'd go, but then people would sort of come to the terms that they had been conned. They'd wasted 2-3 years, however long it was, and then they'd move on. Hopefully not onto another grifter, but a lot of people just left the group and got on with life. And that's what we wanted. Just get on with your lives. Don't waste your time on these grifters. And that's the point of this video. How to spot a grifter. If they are making ridiculous claims, and what I mean by ridiculous claims, if you was to, again, go knock on your next door neighbour, right? Your normie next door neighbour, knock on the door and read out whatever claims Kim or anyone else is making and look at the expression on their face. If it's one where they burst out laughing or they got utter confusion, like, what the heck is that idiot talking about? Are you all right, mate? You know, if they sort of react in that, it's ridiculous. Things like Kim is stopping chemtrails. Ridiculous stuff like that. And we can all see she's not. Just look up above your heads. They're still there. She's been saying this for years. It's all bollocks. Right? So how to spot a grifter? If they're making ridiculous claims or they claim they got inside information and they're also asking for donations, then they're a grifter. Absolutely 100%. Those two things equals grifter. Money always come into it. They might hook you in with information for a little while, but at some point, they're going to start asking for money in some form. They're going to find all different ways of luring you in so you can transfer money from your bank account into their bank account. Now, at the beginning, a lot of Team Bubba's followers in our Facebook group, they were convinced that because they'd been damaged by this cult previously, their guard was up and they had reservations about Team Bubba because they were thinking there's got to be a catch to it. They're going to monetize what they're doing somehow. At some point, they themselves are going to start asking for money once they get a bit of a following. We've never been interested. We've said at the start and to this day, we've got no interest in making money out of this. No interest. And that is why we don't bother building a following. We've never built a following because we got no interest in making money from it. Because we're not grifters. We're just what we've always said we are. Ex-cult members who realised we'd been conned. Me and Barry never handed any money over. Luckily, all we lost was a load of time. We never lost any money. But we spent 3 years on these grifters, wasting our time listening to their bullshit week in, week out. So that's the default. If they ask for money, they're a grifter. And to this day, 5 years later, Team Bubba, you show us one video, one Facebook post, YouTube post where we've asked for donations or asked for any monetary transfer. You won't find it. We've never done it because that is not what we're about. All we are is pissed off ex-members of their cult. And we're not going to walk away and just let them carry on victimising other people. We've had people approach us whose lives have been destroyed by these people. Destroyed. Lots of people have emailed us with their stories, how they've been ripped off by these people in like everyday scams, like physical scams, not online, but in in real life they've been ripped off by them. We've had people approach us who's had their family life destroyed by these people because their husband, their wives have become obsessed with Kim, believing she is the saviour, to the point where their family has been completely broken down and it's ended in divorce. House sold, kids split up, obviously got to go one of the parents, etc. It's devastating what these people are doing. So we weren't going to just walk away and let them get away with it scot-free. We're going to put our story out there, and not only that, we're going to investigate them, and then we start finding out about stuff. People start giving us information, and all the pieces of the jigsaw fall into place, and it becomes very, very, very obvious they're grifters. And then when they make the claim about you, Lisa's now finding this out. Kim's now starting to tell lies about Lisa. And the moment they tell that first lie about you, and you know she's lying, that is the moment you know 1,000,000% they are frauds. They are just professional con artists. So we'll wrap it up there. So the purpose of this video is, when you come out of the cult, you wake up, just try really hard to resist that temptation to go searching for another saviour, because there isn't any. There isn't any. The saviour is you. And it's us collectively just saying no to whatever bullshit they're going to try and push on us in the years to come. Whether that's more lockdowns, jib jabs, you name it, we just say no collectively. And that will push back and stop whatever they try and push on us. We don't need people like Kim pretending they are saving us. Because look at the state of the world since Kim has been making these claims. Does it look like she's doing a good job? Does it look like Kim is saving the world to you? No. Thanks for listening, guys. And check out Stevie's videos, because that guy has put so much work into them, and the evidence in them is gold. Absolute gold. Catch you later, guys.